All right, welcome back, Ryan Larussa, to the conversation with Courtney and I. We're talking about residential real estate today. Thanks for coming, buddy.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you having me.
I think you might be the first round two we've ever had.
Come on. Get back for an invite.
That means you see somebody special.
Well, you've changed things up. It looks amazing. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks, man. We it's just like we were talking about, processes get better over time.
Hey,
and we've gotten much better at this game.
The repetitions help.
Yeah. I'm really excited to talk to my really good friend Ryan Larussa. Most people don't realize this, but he was my first loan officer before I even got in the business, and you killed it. Everybody talked highly of you back then. That was 10 years ago before I even got in the business.
Wow.
Yeah, Stephanie texted me. Actually, it was 9 years ago today. How funny is that?
Come on.
Stephanie texted me that today. She goes, 9-year resident of St. Tammany Parish. It was 9 years ago today we closed on that deal.
And now look at you.
Yeah, look at me now. That's funny. But you've had some recent changes too, so I'm really excited to talk about that. But I want to reintroduce people to you.
Yeah.
Because I think that, to me, again, special person to me, you're a good person individually, you're a great loan officer, and you're a great leader within your organization. So let's just start it and tell everybody a little bit about you and how long you've been doing this real estate deal.
Yeah, so been doing this real estate deal for a long time. I always tease. I started when I was 6, 25 years into the business. And, one of the biggest things that we are blessed and fortunate with is being able to help so many different people. It's amazing to be able to help you and your family, and just this business it's a relationship business, right? And I always say your partnerships or who you're involved with is going to dictate your success in your future. Unfortunately, it is what it is.
Sure.
You've got to be able to, in this environment, as much as it's changing, everybody's on their phone, everybody's trying to get the next best secret. But the truth of it is, when you boil it back down, it goes back to relationships.
Yep.
Who are you in a relationship with? What can you add value with? And kind of going back to me, I get a lot of the credit because I'm kind of the face, but I have an amazing team, and I don't take that for granted. These guys have been with me through thick and thin. We've been through floods, hurricanes, change of companies. We've been through a whole lot of different things. And then, you look around and it's all fine and dandy, but when stuff hits the fan, who do you have behind you? What relationships can you lean on and leverage to be able to help people in one of the most important financial decisions that they will ever make? And I think we have to kind of boil that back down to, people do this 3 to 5 times their entire life, right? And we get a fortunate piece to be a part of that. And so we don't take that for granted. So thank you for the cool comments. What a great spot. And I'm just looking forward to adding value today.
Yeah, so I mean, 25 years into this.
Yep.
I mean, like, it's 2025.
Yep.
So you started in 2000.
Yep.
And I mean, that was a crazy year in and of itself. But the things that have happened between now and then, I think it says a lot about a person who's able to stick out this industry for so long. Because you have people who've been in the business for 10 years and it gets hard, and they decide they don't want to go through the stress again. Like, right now, being in 2025, where we're at, what type of opportunities are you seeing that are happening right now and what we're about to go through in this positively turning real estate market?
Yeah. So I mean, the truth of the matter of it is, I don't like struggle. I don't like to see anybody struggle. But the last couple of years in our industry has been a huge struggle. So we went through
A lot of casualties.
A lot of people that thought, hey, the market made you look a lot better than what you were, if we were honest, all of us.
Sure.
Loan officers, title companies, real estate agents that we partner with and we coach. And when you really boil it all down, you got to step back and be like, wow, the market was amazing. But the last 2.5, 3 years has been some of the toughest times that I've had to face. I've been through 2008, been through the flood of 2016, 5 hurricanes in a 3-year period. I mean, I've been through some wild stuff, but this is a tough business because there's so many things that are out of our hands, right?
Sure.
I mean, we have a buyer, we have a seller, we have a real estate agent, we have an underwriter, we have a lot of people involved, and we're trying to scram all this thing in a 30-day period, 20 of which of those are business days. So you have to have an unbelievable follow-up. You have to have an amazing team. If not, you're not going to hit the dates. And then, oh, by the way, you have an emotional buyer and seller that are like, man, I'll pull out of this thing today, right? I'm tired of dealing with it.
Right.
So you have a lot of that going on. So you're kind of the counselor, and you're also trying to get this transaction to the finish line. So I think going back to what your daily systems look like, who's on your team, are you in the right position? Meaning, hey, do I have the right organization that I'm aligned with? Do I have the right partners? that I'm partnered with to help us get there? And does everybody have a clear, exact role? We meet, and like all my agents know this, my builders know this, the people that we do business with, we have a meeting every day. If I'm there, it doesn't matter. 9:30 every day, because those 20 to 25 or 30 clients that we're going to close this month, that's how important it is. We don't take that for granted. And I think a lot of times we get away from that and we're like, oh, well, yeah, that one's good to go. Was it really good to go?
Yeah.
Have we done a checkup? Today's Tuesday. Did we do our Tuesday updates? Did we follow up on Friday? Did we make sure everybody's expectations being met? Did we do the little bitty things that will make a big difference? And in this market, you got to do all of it.
Yeah. It's just funny you said that. So, and I know that you weren't doing all these things when you got into the business 25 years ago.
Sure.
Right? You started picking up on things. I had a similar realization. Title companies in the past would be waiting for people to reach out to you to make a decision or to start looking at something, right? You got 150 files in your system. You're kind of dealing with the ones that are the fires that are coming at you.
Sure.
And then when we started shifting that perspective and saying, okay, at least twice a week, we're going to look at every single file in our system.
Yep.
And we're going to be the one to proactively reach out and ask for an update from somebody else and make sure that everything's ready to go. I mean, it was a huge game changer for us, right?
But
I mean,
that's also how you can close more business,
Oh my
because
God.
you're providing leadership in a situation that if there's you're taking more control than you are just saying, well, whatever happens to me today.
for sure.
And so that's also, I'm sure you guys saw that files that could have otherwise fizzled out, died off, whatever, you were then saying, hey, we're going to help drive this to the finish line. How can we help to do that?
You put 1 foot forward for every file every single day. And what it does is, in the past, when you would look at your file count, you would have X number of files, but you'd go back and really look at it, and you might have 10 or 15 dead files in there.
Yep.
So your team's mindset is, oh, I've got 10 or 15 more files than I have. I'm overwhelmed. When you go and you clean out those 15 and now their file count's down, their mindset and the type of personality they have is totally different because they feel like they have more control over it. And you as a business owner can project better what your month's going to look like or your year's going to look like because you are knowing your active files in your system.
Right.
Right. And like when you're a loan officer and you might have something in underwriting or trying to get into underwriting or a file that may be ready to go under contract or you're just lock a rate. If you miss a deadline on that, it's huge. And if you're looking at it daily, you avoid those things by going through your checklist in your system.
Yeah.
So having systems is super important. So one of the things I've learned over the last 4 or 5 years, more importantly than ever, is like it doesn't matter if you got 2 or you have 22. Everybody's treated the same. Here's our process. Here's our system. Here's what we do. And we know some of the greatest athletes, the greatest coaches, when you really peel it back, they have an unbelievable dialed-in system, right? And so that's kind of the way we look at it. It's super serious. We do not take it for granted. And then for our referral partners, I think they need to know that, hey, look, here is the system. If we are confident enough to hand over our paycheck, because that's essentially what they're doing. They're saying, hey, I'm trusting you with my paycheck. You got to deliver for not only for me to make me look good, to help the client, to get the best product for the client. Like all of those are big things that I think get overlooked. And the last couple years, I think it's really highlighted some areas of our business to where, man, you have to be able to do the entire package. You can't say, well, we dabble a little bit in this. You got to be able to offer everything. And if you can't offer everything, unfortunately, somebody else out there is. And then, you know, going back to what's keeping that client sticky to you and your relationship is your process. And if my clients know that when we have a 30-minute consultation up front, they understand the roadmap, our availability to get that person to the finish line is going to be 85 or 90% better. 65% of mortgage transactions, when folks are surveyed after the closing, said that it wasn't anything of what they thought, and it was a negative connotation. Really? So that's on my wall in my office. We are not going to be part of that 65%. It's that important to us to pay attention to every detail, to do the updates, to call the client. How are you feeling? Because if we're honest, were you scared? I know I was scared when I bought my first house. I didn't know what the heck I was doing, right? I was told to call this person and they were going to take you through the process. We can't take that for granted. After 25 years, we don't take that for granted. We're like, hey, man, this might be the only time that this person does it. And a first-time home buyer, if we treat them right, we should get 3 to 5 referrals off of that. So we look at that way, right? That is super important. what's my motivation if you're a real estate agent to send me business is to know that we're going to do such a good job that you both of you guys are going to get 3 to 5 more transactions to help more people. And if that's really what we're in the business to do, it's a people business, we got to help more people.
Yeah.
So I actually believe we're not in the people business.
Okay.
I believe that we're actually in the business of promises. And your promise that you're saying is, I can help you get X, Y, Z. And it's how you deliver that promise helps really cement those relationships. Because people all day long, like I definitely get the sentiment of the people business part, but it's truly more of for me, it's on that promise part. It's so many people can be very transactional and they don't care about the process. They're like, the means justify the end, right? Like let's just be sloppy and hustle, right? But I really appreciate your methodical approach to it, that you're saying, hey, we want a repeatable, dependable process that people can lean on and trust. Because at the end of the day, just because people like you and know you, so maybe they're familiar enough with you that they're like, oh, I know Ryan Lynn's, let me call him about this. But at the same time, people want for you to be competent and trustworthy. If you're trustworthy, they like you, trust you. But if you're not competent, they're going to be like, I like him, but I don't know if he'll get this done. Right. And if you're competent, like you can get it done, but you're not trustworthy, that you got to be both. And so I think that I love that you talk about how you want to respect and keep front of mind that it's like, this could be sometime the only time someone buys a house, or maybe it's the last time they buy a house or something like that. Those things matter. It's you can tell that you lead from a big picture, but also trying to not forget the little parts that are so important as well.
Yeah, so I think that kind of goes back to the team aspect of like they don't like me to highlight them, but when from a leader standpoint, and then I have Adam and Saida, which are on my teams, and we all touch different groups of people. Mm-hmm. As a leader, I have to know, hey, this personality is going to be better suited with an Adam or a Saida because they're younger and they can jive. Like, that's fine. We all win, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody wins if we get the client what they feel is the best personality to match what they're looking for. And then go a step back when you have somebody, a couple ladies behind you that can get that file from contract to close without you having to worry about, oh my goodness, what's going on here? The national average of a loan officer closes 1 to 2 loans a month. That's the average. Mm-hmm. Well, if you look back over the last 6 months, there's a lot of guys and gals out of the business because they didn't close any deals. So going back to the big picture, we don't take that for granted. We match personalities, which relationships we think is important. And then we explain, hey, look, if I'm tied up in a meeting or doing something like this, here's my entire team. People like to know that, hey, we don't just have one person. If I need something on the night or the weekend or whatever, my guy's going to be available. My girls are going to be available to get you what you need. Yeah. Which is that goes back to what's your why? Like, why would I use you? I hear that this is a guy that I should use, but like, really, what's your value proposition? What are you bringing to the table? What makes you different? Because there's a ton of agents, there's a ton of loan officers, and there's a ton of title companies. I mean, it just is what it is. What can we do to provide value and then get the repeat business, which we all say on our business cards, we love referrals, right? Don't we? But what are we doing to get the referral? Yeah. We can't just expect it. We got to provide something in order to get it. Most
business cards say the biggest compliment you can give is a referral. But here's the thing. Compliments are not guaranteed.
Ooh, that's good. That's good.
I mean, you have to earn a compliment. Amen. I mean, how hard is it to give people people don't naturally give compliments. Sure. And so same thing with referrals, right? Yep. It has to be earned. It's not given.
That's great.
So it's funny because I'm thinking back on the time how we got connected.
Sure.
Was John Heatherly.
Yeah.
After you had just closed on his house. And he was like, yeah, man, you need to call this guy. And Julie was my agent. And, something that always sticks out in my head with you and with Miss Julie Jenkins in Baton Rouge is the amount of communication. If you remember, she was on a cruise the week or so when we were doing inspections and everything for my closing. She was hanging out of the side of a cruise ship.
Yep. On
the phone, getting things done. But I mean,
that's the fact that she could call on, what was that, Wi-Fi or something?
Yeah, 10 years ago, man, we come along.
That's a landline. That's a landline with a cord. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding.
So I know we talked a lot about you and your team, and it's important because I think it is true that when you build a solid relationship, you have a great team and a great process, no matter where the loan officer goes, the relationship's with them.
Yep.
But the back end for you also is important because it helps you put your foot forward and have a system you can rely on. And you recently made a transition.
Yep.
And I think it's important for everybody to know why Synergy One.
Yeah.
And who Synergy One is and what the new brand behind the Larussa team is. Because again, the Larussa team hasn't changed.
Right.
Right. But the brand that supports you has. So tell us about Synergy One.
Yeah. So look, it was a great ride. Been doing this a long time. Got a lot of great relationships, and GMFS was very gracious. We sat down and we said, "Hey, look, moving forward, you guys are going this direction. We're going this direction." But 3 words that kept going back to me is speed, ease, and expertise. Speed, ease, and expertise was the reason why we chose, Synergy One. And in today's market, they're based out of San Diego. I'm here in Louisiana. They do business all across the country in 50 different states. But you don't really understand what's going on in different markets until you visit different markets. Yeah. In the West Coast, there is no such thing as a 30-day close. It is a 10 or 15-day close, no financing contingencies, no appraisals, appraisal gaps, all kinds of stuff. I'm like, what is going on? But going back to the speed, ease, and expertise, there is a lot of technology. And and you and I talked about this. I was scared to death of AI and technology and all this stuff. I'm like, what does that have to do with mortgages? It has everything to do with mortgages. When you can train systems into knowing, literally, I can type in the information and it can tell me where that loan can go, how it can go, what's needed to go there within seconds. That's the speed. The ease is being able to get the borrower from here to there within this timeline, online application, uploading docs, getting automatic approvals, being able to do things that you just are like, is anybody really able to do that? Because it sounds, in theory, it sounds great.
Yeah.
But could you really close a loan in 8 or 9 days? And when you start seeing that be done, that was super important for us and our clients and our referral partners. And look, you said this, and I think it's important. You might know me, like me, and trust me, but it's still got to be able to prove that what you're saying is true, because my paycheck and my clients, moving his family from California to here or from Baton Rouge to Covington or whatever, we got to be able to deliver.
Yeah.
And so those were some of the things that, as we sit back and look, and this, and I don't shy away from this, I'm coached with some guys. And so my expectation is, I'm not Nick Saban, but I love his mentality of like, if the baseline is here, we're operating here. We're bringing energy every single day. And the expectation is I don't care what everybody else is doing. What are you doing to add value? So we saw a lot of the technology and a lot of the tools. And I think as you kind of step back, you hear, well, they're doing this in this market and we're not doing that. That's an opportunity. That's a disruption that we need to be able to do. And so some of those things have come true, man, and it's been a great marriage. Look, my coach tells me this all the day. There's no perfect mortgage company, no perfect insurance company, and certainly no perfect mortgage company in the grand scheme of things. What are you doing to be out in front to add value to your clients and to your referral partners? We felt that was the best move. And so 31 of us made that jump in our team. And look, it's been great. Yeah. But there's bumps. There's bumps in any business, right? There's going to be growing pains. There's going to be opportunities that are going to come up. And that was just kind of the reason why we made the change. But kudos to those guys. They gave us a great opportunity. This move has been fantastic, and looking forward to the future.
Yeah, so I mean, phone numbers are the same. Email addresses might be a little different, but like it's still the same team, similar process. Y'all's back end's a little more efficient.
Yep.
And so y'all are able to operate even smoother for y'all's clients. So 8-day turnarounds on all y'all's files.
We're not going to say that. But I tell you one thing that I did learn through this transition is being able to have control. Like, oh, wait a minute, they're in San Diego. But big picture, when you look at companies that are doing high efficiency but good touch, they have different pods across the country, which I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. So if we come in and it's 4:00 here, guess what time it is out west? It's 2:00. So you've always got people working and doing. And so you're like, okay, that's a little bit different. And then you have different product mixes that, hey, in California, you got to be investor heavy. You got to be able to have some DSCR. You got to be able to have some, creative financing, because if you don't, guess what? most properties out there, $1 million, $2 million, $10 million, right? And so jumbo, DSCR, some of the HELOC programs that I wasn't able to offer, now we're able to offer, come up with creative solutions to be able to close a loan without saying, well, I'm sitting at a 3%, Jared, and I really don't want to sell. Well, have you thought about the buy before you sell option, which we were able to do? You know, we were able to think about, get creative versus saying, well, you know, that's really not something we can do today.
Yeah.
Agents don't want to hear that.
No.
Buyers don't want to hear that. Look, the buyer's on the phone with me because they want to figure out a solution to the problem. So come up with creative solutions.
Cool. The last thing I ever want to say is no. I want to be like, might not be what we want to do, but here's an option we can go.
There's always a yes. You might not like the way we have to perform that yes, but there's always going to be a solution for it. Let's talk about how Ryan Larussa markets his business and your team markets your business. And I know I have a good insight on how you do it. And one of the reasons why I know part of y'all's process is to follow up with your past clients is because about once every 6 weeks, I'm going to get a text message from Ryan.
Yeah.
I mean, it's religious, right? And I know that part of your system is staying in touch with the past clients. And it's impressive because there's not a lot of people who think of the past client, which I think past is the wrong way to describe them. Everybody's a client.
Right.
Are they a client or are they an active client? Meaning, are they currently looking to buy, sell a house or refinance? And so I think you perceive from the same lens because I like I said, I get those segments. So how do you market your business and how do you keep up with your past clients?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think the first thing is everybody that we close in the past we think is our past client. But what we like to kind of focus on is like, hey, let's talk about your top 400 past clients, right? Let's dial it in a little bit more. And then if we've got a great relationship and I'm the connector and let's call Courtney the real estate agent and I'm feeding, it's a reciprocal relationship to where I'm consistently feeding back. If I'm staying in contact with you and I'm providing great service, in touch, doing everything I can be doing, there's an opportunity for a reciprocal relationship because Courtney sent you to me. You trust Courtney, Courtney trusts me, and it's a circle of trust that we have developed here. So we really try to hone it into, give me your top 400 past clients. And most of the time when I sit down with referral partners, builders, or agents, I say, hey, tell me about your past clients. Oh yeah, I've got 3,500 in my database. Well, guess what? That's not your past clients. That's your past people that you've closed. I'm talking about the top 400s, the Jareds, right? The Courtneys, the people that you're in relationship with that know you, like you, trust you, and have the availability. They want to see you succeed. Well, if I'm not asking you what I can do to help you, and vice versa, it's a reciprocal relationship that we've got to look at a little bit differently. And I think some of the guys and gals in our business that look at it as a transaction, Courtney mentioned this earlier, it's just transactional. Those are the ones that struggle in a tough market. Well, the ones that have a great relationship and they're connectors. You and I have a connection with John at Attract and several other guys that we do business with, Will, Chadwick. You know, you start thinking about some of the impact those guys have. But if we're always consistently top of mind because I like you, not because I feel obligated to call you, there's a big difference. It's like, oh my gosh, I got to call Jared again. I don't want to do that, man. You guys don't want to do that in our business. We want to do business with the guys that we're in the same circle. And that goes back to team. Well, if we're teaching our team the same concept, there's more referral opportunities to generate more business. Again, I don't like talking about COVID because those were the fake years. But during the fake years, loans were raining, opportunities were raining on us. Well, the last 2.5, 3 years were a famine. What were you doing in those times to cultivate the relationships? Now you've got more market share opportunity, and the blessing is here because rates have come down a bunch and people are like, okay, now I think it's the right time. Well, you've put yourself in the right position because you had the right partnerships, and now you just got to be persistent. So those are kind of the 3 Ps that I always focus on. All right, am I in position? Do I have the right partners? Past clients is a great partnership that we have to focus on. And then am I persistently following up with the people? Because at closing, what did I tell you? I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be your guy. If I said that, I got to deliver that. And I think that's where a lot of us kind of get, and it's not, they just don't have a system. We have a system that we know A plus B will equal C. If I take this amount of calls, I pull this amount of credits, this is what we're going to do. And so it's a repeatable cycle. And so from a loan officer standpoint, when I always sit down and meet with loan officers, I said, tell me your biggest struggle. They're like, man, I'm inconsistent, right? Most loan officers are inconsistent. It's not that I'm consistent, but I am consistent with the process. And so if I can teach them the process, then they're like, man, they feel safe and secure. Their referral partners love it. And their past clients absolutely love it, because when we're calling and checking up throughout the year, guess what happens? We're top of mind. I get a referral. Hey, Courtney, talk to Jared. Jared's buddy's looking to buy. Here's a hot lead.
Yep.
And that's where the reciprocal business comes back of like, it's no more gimme. It's let's get a reciprocal relationship to somebody that I like, and we can go have dinner, and we can go talk about life, and I can be at the parties and things like that. That's what business is about.
100%.
That's where we have to go. And in this world of like everything is instant, we forget about it because it gets transactional.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Well, that phone call is a lot easier whenever you've done the work of figuring out which 400 people you enjoy talking to.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Because I mean, like, people all get turned off by the idea of having to pick up a phone and make a phone call. But if you're intentional about those 400 people in your database, they're probably going to share common values, have some sort of common experience. You had a really good experience at the closing table.
Yes.
And so you can have a conversation with them. Like, we can talk about, like last time we talked on the phone, we talked about our dogs.
Yep.
We talked about baseball. We talked about being a dad. We talked about the market and real estate world. So I mean, like, we have common experiences, right? And like, if I'm a part of that 400, it's because me and you have when we connect. It's an enjoyable conversation. It's not the guy's calling me trying to generate business for me. Now, look, like you said, we're here to help each other out. Like, I care about you, you care about me, because we have that type of bond. So we want to see each other succeed. And so it does get to that point. But that's the beauty of a relationship-based business.
Sure.
Not that cold calling and the lead generation, the buying the leads and stuff like that is not a way to do business.
Yeah.
But I just relate to that relationship style of business much more than the other one, just because it's way more fun and enjoyable for me.
I always get convicted because my main mentor, which in the way you reference your coach, he's in essence my biggest coach. He always told me, he said, Courtney, the best thing that you can get out of a transaction is not the house. It's the ally across the closing table. And so for me as an investor, I buy properties from sellers. He was like, Courtney, when's the last time you talked to, and then how many people, it's the volume transaction that can kind of, that I get stumped with. But he's like, when's the last time that you followed up with them? When's the last time that you talked with them? He's like, when you build an ally, which is that mutually benefiting relationship, there's a level and I've since meeting him, 5-6 years ago, he changed my mindset because I'd buy a house and be done.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how many allies did I leave in the dust?
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it's one of those things where it's so I love that you're like, hey, I'm not going anywhere.
Yep.
Setting that expectation, and then again, your process allows you to deliver on that promise.
Right.
And so I love that. I think it's huge because when it is that famine, it's what gets you through. It's relationships, right? Yep. When times are really tough, what gets you through? Relationships, right? Yep. And I'm not saying that every relationship in your life has to, result in business, but it's people who are cheering you on. They want to see you do well, and that are, when you stay that top of mind by keeping a consistent relationship, not letting it grow stale. I think that's huge.
So the past clients is a big part of business, and a lot of people forget about that. But I think something else that sets you apart that other loan officers might not have the opportunity to do is the coaching that you do for your agents.
Yeah.
Let's talk through that because I don't recall if I heard about this.
Yeah. So when I walked in his office the other day, I walked in, he was on the phone, and I overheard as I kind of stepped out while he finished his conversation, he was clearly talking to a real estate agent, talking about just kind of giving them a mindset shift because they were struggling a little bit. And I know you have a coaching program. You're certified in some sort of coaching, but you never really told me what program it is. But I just know that you offer yourself as a coach to your partners.
Yeah, tell us about it.
Yeah. So number one, I think it's coming, which I've learned this in business. If you give, then hey, I'm just giving. What I like to do most is to coach, and so I don't know where that came from. Back in 2016, I had zero purchase business, zero, absolutely none. It was all I was in the first from 2000 to 16 years refinance only. That's all I knew, right? In 2016, we had a huge shift, and I had to go find ways of getting purchase business. And I found a coach that had a system, and I'm a systems guy, and they coach real estate agents and loan officers all across the country It's a very intense. Some people like it, and a lot of people don't like it, right? Because it's turning in homework, getting fines, paying a large amount of money to get coached. For me, my personality, I love it.
Yeah.
But what that allows me to do is I go on site visits to other real estate markets, to other big real estate rock star groups across the country, some big teams, some small teams. And so I get to get a peek behind the hood of how are they doing it in their market?
Right.
And for me, I love that. Some people say, man, why in the world would you do that? I just love it because now I can take that back to some of my rock star agents that were killers the last couple of years. And guess what? They struggle. Some of my folks that were very not doing much, they're killing it. We all know that this business is an up and down. But if you're providing a resource, which I do, which is looking at their numbers, helping them build their team, helping them get a different mindset or a different shift of like, hey, look, I know what you're telling me, but have you thought about it from this way? Let's role play. Let's do some different things. Let's meet up for coffee. Have you sat through a buyer's consultation? Here's one thing that I challenge a lot of agents. I said, hey, look, I hope it's me, but if it's not, have you ever sat through a buyer's consultation with your lender?
Wow.
And they look at me like, no. Why don't you try that? Why don't you see how you're being edified and referred? Why don't you see what that presentation looks like? Do you have a good buyer's presentation to present to your buyer? Do you have a good listing presentation? Like all of those are things that when the market's tough, you better be dialed in. And so now what do we see? We see the good agents that are doing exceptional. Why?
Yep.
Because their process has had to get super dialed in. You see some of the agents that were doing okay that are not doing good at all because they don't have a process, but they don't have anybody coaching them. It's like, hey, Keller Williams has a great training program. Outside of that, there's a lot of other good companies, but there's really nobody. They're on an island by themselves.
Yeah.
So we come along and help. And if I've got the back end of like, I'm doing something like this, but my team's available to do what we talk about, and I can spend my time coaching and adding value, then man, that's what's going to separate us apart and make sure that relationship is cemented. Not that I have a problem with the buying the leads thing, but let's be honest. At some particular point in time, the spend doesn't equate to the closings, and you can't just continue to spend and not make money. So what can we do to show them what we need to do to help build their business? That's where I shine. I love that. I love meeting with first-time home buyers and investors, but really adding value to my referral partners is where I believe that I'm the best use of my time.
Yeah, gotcha.
And so that's kind of a little bit about the coaching piece. It's free for all my referral partners. It's something I pay a lot for, but I'm okay with that because it juices me up, right? It gives me opportunity to be like, hey, look, let's go add value to somebody today. And if we could change one person's life today, then I came from the giver's mindset.
Ideal audience member is somebody who is in business, in real estate, maybe real estate business, but is trying to operate their business at a higher level.
Yep.
And so the basic foundation of business is pretty much the same, right? You have to have a system in which you operate. And I know that you're very system oriented. We've talked a lot about that today. If somebody's on the outside looking in on your organization and maybe considering joining your team, from an admin standpoint or from a producer standpoint, like what would they look at from a systems standpoint at your team? How are you kind of setting yourself apart from a more traditional mortgage company?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing is being able to have the back end handled. Most people that I sit down and meet with, they get bogged down in the day-to-day minutia of the files. They're not leveraging, which I wasn't either, leveraging technology, AI. So like there's a true system that we have that when you pull up, it's called Synergy GPT. It's just like Chat GPT, but it knows all the guidelines, all the product, all that. And I can literally say 560 credit score, 1 times 30 late in the last 12 months, hit submit, and it'll tell you where that loan can go, what you need. Exactly. That's utilizing something that could take pulling credit, going through everything, sitting on somebody's desk. Let me see, is it an exception? Is it not? That's utilizing technology along with most loan officers that I talk to are like, well, I don't have a team. It sounds great. You got a team. Well, we got all the back end covered. I need you to spend 4 to 5 hours a day in your best use of time, Jared. You got 8 hours to work today. Where do you want to be? Most sales oriented guys want to be in the field, developing relationships and building. But you can't do that if you don't have this back end covered. And that's where we see the biggest gap. So if we can help fill the gap, then people are like, well, heck, I want to go be a part of that.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to be part of a winning team?
Yeah.
So you can win, but winning, it feels really good when you're high-fiving everybody on the team. It's lonely at the top. So that I would say that's one of the biggest things. And again, I'm 45 years old. The last thing I want to do is make a change.
Sure.
The most important thing I knew that we had to do was make a change and leverage our team, the atmosphere, and a lot of the things that's going on, because our industry in the past 6 to 12 months has changed a tremendous amount. How much more in the next 6 months to 12 months or 2 years is it going to change? Astronomical. Because everybody starts online, and then everybody is pushed to whatever we say. That's the way that I see it. Like the buyers start online, they get confused, and then they're relying on somebody to coach them to go this direction. When you know that you can get them off the street into a closing room in 2 to 3 weeks, that's a whole different ball game than go put all your information in online, wait for somebody to call you, to hope and pray that you close on time. 65% of mortgage transactions don't go the way that they started off. And at the end of the day, you have a terrible experience.
Yeah.
Did I do what was best for my client? No, absolutely not. So that's kind of our mindset and mentality of where we are.
Yeah. So the system behind the scenes efficiency with Synergy One allows you to kind of operate with more efficiently, and I have a lot of clarity on how the real estate teams work, right? But on your team, you have some producers, and then you have a processor.
Yep.
Right. And so that person is there to hand off the file and make sure that it gets through underwriting as seamlessly as possible, right?
That's right.
And so how do y'all do that on y'all's team? Who y'all have one?
Yeah,
processor?
so we have 3.
Okay,
yeah, cool. So again, kind of going back to the goals of like in our buyer's presentation, and I was on my way here today talking to a first time home buyer. Said, hey, look, here's the deal. We're going to meet in my office tomorrow at 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock, we're going to do a 30-minute meeting. We're going to talk about the process. So I'm going to gather your information up front. We're going to make sure that we get all the documents up front, because most deals fall out because why?
They've been the documents,
a week, 2 weeks into the deal. Oh, I didn't see that they had a 401k loan on their pay stub. That should have been caught up front.
Yeah.
Hey, I didn't see that they didn't have adequate assets, or they got an NSF on the bank statement. Guys, this is not rocket science. But if you have a process, and I have 3 people behind me double checking what I looked at, within 24 to 48 hours, we've caught the mistake. We can either fix it, or we need to kill it, or hey, not today doesn't mean no.
Yeah.
It just means not right now,
Yeah.
right? So I would rather be able to do that. So we're very intentional about our meetings. We make sure that they understand the process, and that they know the Sarahs and Nikel and Dawn behind me are going to make sure that they're going to work with underwriting once we get your file under contract. But before that file goes there, they know their payment, they know their down payment, they know their taxes, they know their insurance, they know everything up front. Mm-hmm. So there is no surprise 2 weeks down the way. I can't tell you, 4 or 5 times a month, I get a file on my desk that was a week or 2 weeks away from closing, that is not going to close, on something that we can save. And I'm okay if I need to become the savior guy for you in order for us to gain relationship. But those are things that are easily caught up front if you're setting that first meeting up with the right intention. What's the game plan for the meeting? Is there a meeting after the next meeting to make sure that that buyer, because they are scared. I don't care what anybody tells anybody in today's market, and even when rates were at 7.5% or 8%, the buyer still has fear. It's our job to mitigate that fear and to say, hey, I don't like turbulence, neither do you. When I fly, I hate turbulence. I don't even like to fly. But you need to expect turbulence in this process. It's going to be turbulent. I'm not telling you it's going to be smooth. It's going to be turbulent. So if we set the right expectation up front, and it's not as bad as what we set it up to be, are they going to be happy? Yes. They're going to be super happy, and they're going to refer Courtney the business. They're going to say, hey, Jared, he was right. We're talking about all that. We're talking about the agent. We're talking about the title company. We're talking about the insurance company. We're talking about everything up front. So there is no, well, Ryan and his team didn't properly explain that. Yeah. We want to make sure that, hey, just because your mom said it's a good time to buy, it might not be your right time to buy.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Let's get you in position to be able to help you in 60 days, 90 days, 6 months. And then here's where a lot of us in our industry fall down, is there's zero follow-up. Mm-hmm. Zero. Mm-hmm. Even with closed loans, past clients. Like, when's the last time you heard from your lender? Like, never. Mm-hmm. Okay. So Is it transactional or is it relational? But when you set those upfront expectations, then I've got to deliver with my team. And the only way you could do that is to have a team. Most loan officers are a one-man show, and they're trying to do everything on their own. It's just impossible.
Yeah,
it's impossible.
I feel like from my perspective, when I see a loan officer that doesn't have a processor, or a processor that's working on their files, or maybe one or two other loan officers' files, they don't know how much easier life could be if they would not invest their time and energy in a team. Maybe make a little bit less money, but you can run so much faster.
Yep.
As a salesperson, as a producer, when you have a file that doesn't come out of underwriting with 100 stipulations you got to fix.
Yeah. And I think going back to the technology piece, which I've seen them like literally in today's world with chat, Synergy GPT, it tells you everything you need up front. So there's no guessing. Mm-hmm. The underwriter's literally going behind there, checking off what it's already said you need. So there's no reason to have a deal fall apart.
Let's talk through that. Yep. So that is something that is with Synergy One that is specific to them. Yes. So like other lenders can't use that.
I don't know if other lenders have it. I just know that
you guys have that.
That we have that. And when I saw that, one of the reasons was like speed, ease, and expertise. Okay, I'm not an expert, but I have a lot of knowledge in this industry, and I haven't seen anything quite like that to be able to identify the problem.
Right.
Here's the solution. And get it done. Mm-hmm. That's the most important part that all of our referral partners are wanting to know. What do I need to do to get this done? So I'm not saying it's specific to just us. Other companies might have it, but when I looked high and low, and these guys have it, and then just because you have it doesn't mean it takes away the human element, right?
Yeah, sure.
Right.
We've got to be able to couple the human element, because they're still scared. The client's still scared,
right,
with the tools to get you from point A to point B within that timeline. To make sure that we can win the offer. Because this past weekend, I had 3 different opportunities where we were in multiple offer situations. We won 2 out of the 3. One we didn't win because it was cash, but the 2 out of the 3, guess what the win was?
Them working with you?
Speed.
Oh.
Speed. It was, they knew me, but it said, hey, look, what if we remove the contingency and we can close that loan in 3 weeks? That was the difference maker. And it was an Ascension Parish deal. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants to go there. They're hearing about the Hyundai $5 billion plant coming in, steel plant. It's going to, the point of it is, what are you doing to solve the problem, other than just saying, well, I think it's going to be a 3 or 4 week close. You have to be intentional. Yeah. And then when I'm talking through with the clients and explaining the offer and talking to the agent on how to present the offer, we're going to present the best offer to win the deal.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right? And the client's got to be okay with that. But that's a big deal for me too. I'll call a lot of times with the client in the office. Hey, Courtney, I have Jared in the office. I just want to let you know, we're looking at $265. He needs $6,000 in closing costs, and he's okay to bridge the gap or the difference. When we're talking that language together, guess what? She's confident. He's confident. We don't stutter step, which in today's market, it's starting to change, right? Thank God. It's starting to change. When you stutter step, you could be the right way to win that deal. Well, if a borrower loses out on a couple of deals, their expectation of where it was to where it is not too good, and then they think, well, man, this is just not for me, right? Yeah. I'm just going to wait for rates to go down. I'm just going to wait for prices to go down, which we've already kind of been through that. We know that neither one of those two things are happening, right? So that's kind of what we see. We got to educate the client up front. We got to let them know what to expect, and we got to properly communicate along the way.
Yeah. So I think to tie this all together on the system side, right? We talked about the back office tech. We talked about the processing units that you have. But if I'm a loan officer and I want to join the Larussa team, the system that you use to hold your loan officers, your producers accountable, or the coaching, right? A lot of people get stuck with that word accountability, right? And I know accountability means you set a goal as a loan officer. Tell me what the goal is, I'm gonna help you get there, right? Yep. That's me holding you accountable to your goal. But like, what are the practical things you're doing with your loan officers daily to help them make sure they're on track to hitting the goal they want?
That's great. So I think this is important. Some people are like, man, that's great. I like all the tech, but I don't want to be on your team. So we have 2 options. You can be on our team. Here's all the things that we're going to provide. You're still going to get the coaching. You're still going to get me and Doug, which is the top producer in the entire state, and all that other stuff that's inside of our branch. But some people just want to be their own guy and go do their own thing, and that's cool too. We'll help and we'll coach. And some people want to be fed leads and relationships and all that, and that's kind of part of the team atmosphere, because we're absorbing the back end part. but we have a mix of both. But I think really at the end of the day, people just want to be part of something that is championship caliber. When you walk into the office, you know at the end of the day, these guys are going to war for me, and they got my back, man. They got my back. It's a tough. This industry is not easy at all. There's nothing easy about it. I tell people come shadow me all the time. They're like, this is not something I want to do, and that's cool. I would rather us do that up front. So we offer that. Hey, come hang out with me for a day, half a day. I can tell you all the great stuff in the world, but if you're like, man, I got to come see it, come check it out. But I think going back to the day-to-day stuff, when you see the intentional plan from a loan officer standpoint, it's not shooting from the hip. We know where we're shooting. It's a rifle shot, not a shotgun shot. We know every day that we have a theme that we're operating under, and then we have a process. Stay in your lane. I can't go ask my processor 17 times a day, hey, did you do this? Did you do that? The response goes back onto me. Hey, with the Synergy GPT that I just told you about, you could have found that answer out in about 6 seconds, but you had a convenient distraction in your mind to say, well, it's convenient for me to walk over there and interrupt her. Stay in your lane, do what you do. There's too much tech in front of us in today's world to say, man, I don't really know that. As a loan officer, it's our job to kind of know the guides a little bit. I don't have to know everything. But I got to be able to know enough to be able to not go conveniently interrupt my processor, which is trying to get these 3 or 4 or 5 loans to the closing table for Friday.
Yeah.
Right. So it's everybody on our team and our organization understands their role and they do their job.
Yeah.
They do their job. They block and they tackle. We block and we tackle. Here's the playbook. If you have any questions, come see me. I'll help you. I'll help you run the play. But you got to do your job and you got to show up. And most loan officers are like, 4 to 5 hours a day of selling, that's all I got to do? Yeah, 20 hours a week. 20 hours a week, you'll be highly successful, right? But most of the time, we're in a file, we're over here, squirrel, we're going wash our truck, we're going to do whatever else. We're not consistent because we don't know who to call and we don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Well, if I can teach you who to call and what to say, you're like, I want to go be part of that organization over there because these guys are doing it. And I say guys, like we have a great culture. We got some guys that have been with us for 20 years. Yeah. 20 years in this business. I'm like, man, I'm not sure if you're crazy or I'm crazy, but it's cool. It's being able to kind of lock arms and lock elbows with high caliber people that want to just go help more people. Yeah. That's what we're doing.
That's great.
I love that.
Like we like talking about difficult real estate transactions. Yep. And when we were having the kind of prep work for this conversation, the interesting twist that we put on it was you have 3 or 4 loan officers on your team that all are in different segments of the world and the segments of life, different experiences, different ages. And so y'all all are able to kind of focus on your group of people and be specialized in what they offer, what they need, right? Obviously, you work with every borrower that needs assistance, but at your point in your career, a lot of your peers are at a stage where they may be buying their forever home and they may have businesses and they may be writing off income and things like that. And so you have your own expertise, and Adam works with the first-time home buyer, second-time home buyer, doing that type of thing. And so how do you, when y'all are dealing with those types of transactions and y'all are playing in those areas, how are y'all solving the problems unique to your ideal client or that client you're spending time with?
That's good. So I remember, you and I, the last conversation, we were talking about who's your ideal client. It's got me thinking a lot. I think your ideal client has to change, right? And so people that are not willing to adapt, adjust, and change, they suffer. And so if 32% of the buyer market out there is first-time home buyer, another 25% investors, that's where the fish are. That's where we have to fish. Yeah. And so our mindset is all about the numbers. So if we know where our leads are coming from, who's getting the leads, how we're able to help, how I'm able to coach these agents to help them go get more business, to help, in turn, all of us win, then it's a win-win relationship. Yeah. And so I manage by the numbers, meaning like I can tell you if we take 100 leads a month, we're going to close 20 to 25 deals. That's how exact it is. We're trying to get 4 to 6 leads a day, 1 good application. But my business is going to look different than the other folks on my team. But I can't say, well, I'm 45 years old and I can't relate to first-time home buyers. I help a ton of first-time home buyers, but guess what? They understand our process and our playbook and what we're trying to do. If you and I are working together, like right now, I've got several people working to buy their kids a first-time property around LSU. They're going to LSU. Well, if I can properly structure that deal for them, they're like, wow, I thought I had to put 20% down. No, let's put the loan in your son's name. You're the non-occupant co-buyer, and you could put 3 to 5% down in order to make that. I came up with a solution because I understood the problem and helped you solve it. So I don't ever think that, hey, I only work with this step-up buyer. I do. I work with a lot of investors and things like that. But right now, where's the fish? 32% first-time home buyer, 25% investors. The investor, the DSCR loan has been a huge hit for us. The buy before you sell has been a huge hit for us. Those are solutions that we're coming up with in order to get people from, why are you going to make a move? What's the hot button? What are we really trying to accomplish? I mean, people are buying houses all across the country all day long. Are we talking about affordability? Are we talking about return on the investment? Because really, at the end of the day, last year, everybody was all fired up in the stock market about their return. First quarter of this year, ain't nobody really talking about their return in the stock market. So it's our job to talk about what's important. Right. If we're just talking about rate and closing costs, that's a small portion. I know a lot of people that put a lot of money down and got the wrong program, and they're very frustrated about the type of loan that they got. So did we provide the right solution? Did we find out what's the problem and come up with a viable solution in order to help? So I can show you, hey, look, we're helping you build wealth. You put this amount of money down, you got this amount of return. Your return on your investment in 2 years or 3 years or 5 years is 200%. That's a tangible number, not just, well, you need to go do this deal over here, this, that, and the other. I don't like to talk just programs, but you have to be able to have all the programs to be able to come up with the right solutions. So that's going back to, why did you build a team? People ask me all the time, you're a successful single loan officer, because it's fun to win with a team of individuals that everybody is going in this direction. And I think that I know you guys do a great job here, is like, hey, do you have the right people? Yes. Are they on the right seat on the bus? Yes. When that properly aligns, man, business is fun. When it doesn't align, and trust me, I've made plenty of mistakes, it is like climbing up this hill to like, oh my gosh, I'm never can get up to the top. So put the goal out there. Let's talk about the solution. Where's the solution? I want to buy a house. Why? Most people are like, well, my dad told me to come talk to you. He told me it'd be a good idea to get in. Like, man, you're not ready to buy a house yet today. And that's okay. I'm going to help you, get you in position, but I'm also going to educate you to where you're thinking, man, I'd be a fool not to do business with those guys.
Yeah, for sure. At whatever point in time you're ready.
Well, and that's where, as Hermosi says, to make the offer so good that people feel stupid not to accept it. And the question is, what's your offer? And is it that good? And so I like that. And in this market, so much has been challenging, as you said, right? Like we all had the Midas touch in 21, right? Like stuff like that. None of us realized how much the wind was against our back helping us, right? But especially in this difficult market, the best thing is you guys, the system that you're falling to, right? But then the also other part of that is you have different tools in your team, right? So because you have different people in your team, it's not just your strengths, it's the different tools in your tool belt are what's the strength of this team member, what's the strength of this team member, and then you guys can overcome so much by having that collection there. Is
there anything you want to throw in there before we get done? I mean, we talked about the new team you got, the new brand you're wearing, your team, your process, what y'all offer. Tell me what you're looking forward to in 2025. You think it's going to be a good year?
2025 is going to be a great year. I don't look at it like there's not going to be any challenges. I do think the worst is behind us. I feel like, there's always fear in the market, man. When the pandemic was here, there was fear. You go to rates at 8%, there was fear.
When there's multiple offers, there was fear.
Multiple offers, there's fear. Am I overpaying, right? It's our job to manage fear, build great relationships, show people the facts and the numbers. We can't deal on emotion of what we think. Here's the facts. Real estate is the greatest way. And look, here's the truth. I've got a lot of real estate on my own. And so I give people the real good, bad, and the ugly. I'm not going to sugarcoat something. If I don't think it's a good time for you to buy, I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
So I think being transparent, being upfront and honest and transparent, super important. Relationships, this relationship that we have here is important because, again, when the market was rolling, it's all good.
Yeah.
When the market's not rolling, who can you relate? Who can you relate to say, hey man, look, what can I do to help you or your agents or your builders or your relationships to add value? That's what it's all about. It's not about the next deal. We've been blessed in this industry to help thousands of people. Where sometimes I just pinch myself. I'm like, wow, I was able to get into this. I knew nothing about the mortgage industry, and now because of some processes and right opportunities, we've been successful. And I think God's going to look down one day and be like, man, well done.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I think we should end with that.
Yeah.
So thanks for coming, buddy.
Thank you, man.
Second time
Appreciate
around,
you.
It was great again, and we'll do it again.